Okay, here we go with another game with NeoTA in the chart game. So I'm going to do a new game here. Let's see what we got, and let's see how we're going to trade this thing. So this is the chart game, and again, you can look at all time frames. You can look at the various weekly, monthly so far. So we start here with the daily. Let's see what it looks like. So we got this spike up, and you got a nice little pattern. You got over the swing point highs, did a retest regen. And if I try to draw these things in for you so you can see them, I won't do this all the way through, but here's the retest regenerate. There's the second one there. And so this was the breakout. Got over both of them. Got the retest regen, spiked higher. So it regenerated higher. You got a swing point high up here. Looks to be the target on this time frame. And that's about where that one got or almost got to, and now it's a swing point high. So that's going to be the resistance. This is the support probably. So let's see what else we got. So if we pop to the weekly, see what that time frame looks like, and to get a feel there. Okay, so this looks like a relatively new stock, right? Given where the weekly is, we don't have 60 bars, so it's a relatively new stock. And this thing has been trending down so far. Now, what this one's doing is a bearish retest regenerate. So in other words, our swing point low that was broken, and that was broken right here, right, on this push down. We come all the way back, and now let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, more than 6 bars. We come all the way back. Does a full retest regenerate. Now, usually you would only expect it to do about a third of the way back. So in other words, if this had done what was expected, it would have only got to about this far up. Well, it got farther, and so now that we see that, we know that that's something that's interesting. And then if we go over here, that swing point was broken as well, and that was a retest regenerate, and we almost are to the top of that, almost over it. So on the weekly, this thing's starting to look like it may be turning to the top side. If we pop over to the monthly, not much happening there. We've got an under over, but we can't tell yet because we don't know where the month is going to end. And if we come back to the daily, we can get a feel for how far we're into the month, March 16th. So we're halfway through. So we'll go back to that monthly. If we reject the volumes, right, this thing's going to have more volume on that under over most likely. You're doing 7.7, you're 5.7, you got half the month to go. And so that gives us that feel. Finally, looking at the trading cube, what does that tell us? We're not applicable here. That's because it's relatively new. Bearish is overdone. Sideways on the sector. And kind of extended here on the sector on the bullish side. And not too extended on the market. So that it's actually a decent setup. Okay, so finally, now that we've done our prognosis, right, we have an idea, what do we want to do? Well, we probably want to trade this to the upside when we get an opportunity, is the way it looks to me. So we go to the next bar. We're not ready to do anything yet. And see what that does, sideways. And we're right at support here. And this is the big bar down. Yeah, I'll let it go another bar. We'll see what we got. And there is the spike. I was wondering if that's what it was going to do, and it did. So it's continuing to exhibit strength here. So at this point, I'm going to put a little money into it. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to roll this up a little bit farther. Actually, let me go the other way so that you can see and I can see. I'm going to roll this up so that I can do maybe 20%. Just put some of that position on this next bar. And so we're going to buy it, 20% of our portfolio. Okay, so that's where we're at. So we got a stake in it now. So on any kind of dips, what I'm thinking here is on any kind of dips, we're going to buy back into this support zone, right at the bottom of this support zone. We're expecting this to get hit and that to get hit. That's where we're trading right now, or what we're thinking right now. So we're gonna hold and continue, and it's still looking positive, so nothing to do. Now it's coming back in, so we just keep going. And at this point, we might be able to see something over here on our weekly time frame, because I'm not sure when the week ends. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's going to print a low. So it looks like the big resistance on the weekly, 30.65. So if I scroll it, 30.65, go back to the daily, 30.65 is just over that, and it is this bar over here. So That's about what we're shooting for. So that top of that area, I wouldn't be comfortable adding much until we get to there. So we just hold. I don't see a reason to add anything here. And it's still just going sideways. And as you can see, if I pull this over so that you can see the actual balances, right? You can see the statistics over here. We're basically break even at this point. Nothing's changed. So hold again. Still nothing to do. I like the way it's trying to set up here, but it hasn't done anything to make me want to add. It's just grinding its way up higher. Everything still looks fine. We're going to see that test of that swing point high here at some point, probably 30.38 is the number, and still nothing. And as you know, I'm just randomly picking a stock. You know, that's what the game does, and it allows you to trade it neoclassically. And what we just did, as you saw, the green changed. We got support now at a higher level. So this is doing what we want. It's getting up to test that high. We've only got 20% of our money in it. At this point, we're up, it looks like $500 on a $100,000 portfolio. So essentially, we're up about 0.5%. Keep moving. We're going to hold again. And what I'm going to do is I was about to say, I'm going to buy on a breakout. And that's what it just did. And so now, if we go back to the weekly, let's see what that weekly looks like. That high we were looking for is here, 30.65. That bar has not printed yet because the week is not over. So coming back over to the daily, 30.65 is the number, and we're over it. So we're going to get a breakout, or we're going to get over that big bar on the downside on the weekly. So in other words, what I'm talking about here is we're going to get over this bar now. At least it looks like we're going to get over that bar on a weekly time frame, and that means we're attacking this swing point high, potentially going to break it, and we got another one there, and we'll get a trend change if that happens. So I'm going to look to buy here somewhere on this daily time frame. Got a big bar up, big volume. I like that. Probably a breakout. I'm going to hold and look for a little retrace to sell it or buy into. Not much there. There is the trend change on both time frames. Now we get a little over under. So what I'm talking about here is over, back under, less volume, prior bar. So should get a little retrace on the next bar. That's not the best signal to watch, but it's not a bad one. Weekly still hasn't printed, so we're probably right at the end of the week now. And I'm going to hold one more day, see what kind of retrace we get. There it is, 31. And let's see if the weekly printed now. I want to see if we got that breakout. There it is. There's the breakout. So we get over this, and we get over that, and we break that high. So if you look at this now, what do you have? You have a breakout on this time frame, right? That's on the weekly time frame. And if we go back over to the daily time frame, let me pull that one back up. On the daily time frame, you got the breakouts, 2 of them on the daily time frame. Now, with a multiple swing point breakout, you really want to think about adding independent of waiting, for more of a pullback. So I've got 20% of my money in it now. Of the money I have left, I'm going to put 40% more in. I'm going to add that on this bar. And there it is. It came back. Now we get the opening prices where the add is. And so we get the opening price. And let me pull this over just a little bit so you can see those numbers. So we get the add on the opening price. It looks like it opened on the high there, which is what, about 31.62. And if we look again at our stats here, we're about 600 up, so not that much still. So we're going to hold again. Now if it comes back in, it could do a full retest regen. And that's on this, and that's a big bar. And on the weekly, if it came back in, the full retest regen would be on this bar, which is the lowest 30.10. So we'll keep that number now. I'm flipping back and forth so that you can see the whole screen. There is a little thing up here that you can hit all time frames, and it would pop up all these charts across all time frames across your screen. So you can more easily do this than what I'm showing you. So anyway, moving along here, I'm going to hold again, and we're looking for some sort of sign of strength to come in again. There's the top test, tops into that bar. 30.38 was the high. It got into 30.51. Actually still hasn't tested it. So that's from this breakout here, That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now that's good because that says that if we test into it, it should hold. So it gives us a little bit more confidence here that this thing is going to actually hold. Now, given that, right, I don't see a sign of strength yet, but I'm tempted to put more into it. I have a cash balance of 48. I've already got 100, right? So I've got roughly 52% of my money invested. I'm going to go ahead and put another 20% of my money in on this trade, on this bar, expecting this thing to try and pop higher. And there's a little bit of a push up 1%. I'm going to hold again. And what I'd like to see is some strength. And there it is, right? Volume comes in, strength comes in. This is all good actions, kind of stuff you want to see. Again, at this point, I'm down to about 38,000 on my account. Just glancing at it, I know you can't see it, but that's what it is. I'm going to put 40% more of my money into on this trade. I'm going to add. And there's the breakout. So we get a breakout over that swing point high. At this point, you can see we're starting to make some gains here. We're up 3,000, so roughly 3%. I'm going to hold again. I want to get an extension to sell into. It didn't get it on that bar, so I'm going to hold again. The problem with what just happened is it can retrace to the bottom of this bar now, so that's not a good thing, but I'm going to continue to hold and see if we can get that turn and a little push back up. And still waiting. And boy, it's struggling up here. So now we've got resistance. You see now, when we broke out here, you see the red arrow? That says it was suspect breakout. In other words, you didn't have more volume as you got over the high. 31.92 is that high. We did a doji at 31.80. Now, if I wanted to play it safe, right, I'm up about 2,600, 2.6% so far. If I pull this down so you can see it, we're 92 bars into this guy, right? Excuse me, we have 92 bars left. We start out at 120. So, you know, we've done about a fourth of what we're going to see. I'm going to keep going though. I'm going to hold and go again. And we're sure trying to get out. Let's hold one more time. Didn't get it. So now we've got a bigger decision to make, right? Because now we've tried twice now and failed to extend. And so we have the odds are growing that we're going to get a deeper pullback, which makes it harder. Now, overall, if we go look at our weekly, this still doesn't look bad, right? I mean, we're down in this area now, down in here. I don't want to see it get much deeper. Let me see, the top of this is 30.38, and that was 30.65. Let's go back over here, 30.38 and 30.65. Yep, just hold. I'd like to see it hold above 30.65. Test into it, and they bought it. That's a good sign, right? So you bang into it, they buy it. That's good. Got to hold. There's the extension. Still can't break out. Oh man, this is a challenge. There's the extension. Look at the volume come in. There's the extension. So that top, that top is 32.29. We're at 32.18. Yeah, so we're almost over it. Hold again. There's the extension, folks. Now you're getting it, right? You get a breakout. You're getting over another swing point high. See that second arrow? That means that over here on the weekly, that swing point high that's sitting here on the daily as well as the weekly, we just got over it on the daily. This is all good news, and we're trying to get, actually, let's go back to that weekly one more time. We're trying to get to this bar's top now. That's where it's trying to shoot for. Actually, I'm off one bar. It looks like it's this bar's top. So the low of that bar could be a problem on the way up, right? But the high is the target, and that's up around 35.5. So coming back to the daily and continuing to trade this, we're 84 bars remaining. We got most of our money invested here. We've only got about 23,000 in cash. We're going to hold again, see if we can get a farther extension. Did not get the extension. And that's almost a takeaway bar. A little bit more volume, pushed over it with more volume. I'll hold it again, see if I can get some more. And it tests back into the swing point high now within 6 bars. That means it can test deeper. I'm going to continue to hold, though. I like the way this whole chart is developing. Big push up that they sell into. Now look at the top of this one, 35.84. Going back to that weekly, the top of that weekly is 36.36. Volume on that weekly 7.18. Let's come back to our daily now. 7.18. We just did 800. We're doing about 3 million, it looks like. I'm expecting this to probably try and open a little bit higher. I'm going to take a little bit of my profits here. So I'm going to say, okay, take about 30% of what I have invested and sell it. And so that's what I'm going to do. And so I'm going to book that amount of profits. And again, if you come over and you look at what you're doing, you're up about 6%, almost 7% on this stock overall. Booked about $6,800. We didn't book that. I just booked a third of what we had. I'm going to hold now. If we get a deeper retrace, I'll probably buy some. If not, I'll see if we can get over that high. Continue to hold. And there's nothing yet. A little doji. Continue to grind up, right? Just continue to hold. And still holding. And comes back, right? So this is a waiting game at this point. There's some more volume comes in again. Sure looks like they want to try and push this up, doesn't it, from the volume perspective? And there it is, folks. The breakout over this swing point high. Volume comes in again. Now what are the price points? We're at 36.40. Let's go to our weekly and see if that printed. And we have that breakout here. Actually, this breakout got us over that one, so I kind of got carried away here and wasn't paying attention. That top was 36.36. Now let me go back to this. I think we're over, don't we? 36.36. Not quite. 36.07. We hit 36.40. So this might be a place where you could take a little bit of profit, try to put yourself in a win-win situation. I'm not going to go into the deep discussion of what that means, but I'm going to peel off a little bit more here. And if I'm wrong and this thing surges, I'll just try to buy the retrace. And it didn't. It opened up higher, comes down. That's an over-under, it looks like, 36.40. No, not quite. So that's an inside bar, and that's still fine. Now, what I'm going to be looking for, because this is a retrace now off of this swing point high within, the immediate retrace, usually you're going to get to the bottom third, so that's down around 34 or so. So I'm going to continue to hold and try to buy down there if it comes that deep. So I continue to hold, keep playing this chart. If it keeps going up, then we'll buy a retrace off the next breakout, and we'll just keep going. So nothing to do, just keep trying. Still nothing. Still testing. Tested down deeper that time, but didn't get to my price point. So I continue to hold. And good volume comes in again on an up day. I like this action. This is a very positive chart, and there it goes again. So now we got the next breakout, right? And so at this point, I'm going to have to buy this retrace. Now, let me draw in what I'm thinking, right? The top of this bar, the top of that bar is where I want to buy. Now, if you remember, I sold, I believe, the top of this bar, that last 20%. So I'm going to try to buy it basically where I sold it, not knowing if I was going to get that breakout or not. But we did. I didn't get the deeper retrace I was looking for. I wasn't able to add cheaper. Now I'll simply try to add back in where I got out. That's what I talk about with the win-win. In other words, more than likely I can get back in where I got out even if I don't get what I wanted. So I'm going to hold, see if I can get a retrace into that area. And if so, I'll buy back those shares I sold. Now we're coming back in. We're not quite to where I was, but we're getting close. I'm going to give it one more bar, see if we get a little deeper retrace. There it is, folks. So there's the deeper retrace. Now at this point, the story just changed. And what that is this is a bullish retest regenerate. But we got underneath that area. When I see that kind of action, I don't like it. And the reason I don't like it, because it says more than likely what has been going up. In other words, we've got a very bullish thing going here, right? Going up, and now we get a little steeper. Now, more than likely, we're sideways on this time frame. And so it says we could get deeper retraces now on this time frame, but we don't have to be in a hurry to add anything. Going over the weekly, we got that swing point high up there. We just broke over it, it looks like, but you see the long tail on it. Now a retrace on this one can get you to the bottom, which is 33.67. Go back to the daily. 33.67. So that would get us down into the bottom of this big bar. That would be the ideal place to pick it up. So I think the ideal place for me now is right about here, this area down here. So about low 34s to 33 is where I want to be looking to try and add the bulk of whatever I'm going to add. Not there yet. I'll just hold on a little bit longer. And so we're kind of getting a little shift here. What I'm going to do is put a little bit of that money back to work, buying it cheaper than where I sold it. And so I'll put in, say, 20% of what my cash position is and add that and continue to play this thing. So hold again. If we get deeper, we'll add some more. If we don't, we'll try to sell up towards the top. Because we have the more than likely sideways, we want to use this bar to sell into. So these two bars. So we're somewhere around 37. Excuse me, somewhere around 37.5. And we continue to hold. There's the 37. We're getting close. Let's see what it does on the next bar. And there it is. It's right about where we want it, and it's a doji. So what I'm going to do is take that 20% I just added, and I'm going to sell it and try to make some money on it and try to buy back deeper again, because I'm believing this thing's going to try and go sideways rather than straight up again. So we made a little bit of money. We sold it. Now, if we get the retrace, we'll be able to buy in a little cheaper again. If not, we'll have to look at the retrace after a breakout. There is a bearish engulfing that says we should try and trade down on the next bar. And if we look at our cash positions, we got 51 bars left, and we're about 13% up right now, and we're about 50%. Cash balance 61. Yeah, we're about 50,000, so we have a little less than 50% invested. Let's take another 20% of what we have off. You know, we don't want to get rid of everything, but we want to keep nipping our profits and try to build our position bigger. And boy, did that one hit. We got the worst price. Well, we didn't get the worst price, but we got out a little late. Remember I just said it was a bearish engulfing? Look at what happens on the next bar. So at this point, we still could get that retrace way down into the 33, 34. I don't want to sell any more. I want to see if I get a bounce and then sell some more up there if I can. And you know, we lost 3,000 already, and now we're into that area that we want to buy. Now, the problem here, you know, you always got to keep watching the chart because it keeps releasing information. Look at this huge volume. Something big happened on that bar. I have no idea what it was. All I know is something big happened. That tells me that I don't really want to just buy in blindly here. I want to see that the sellers are done. And so rather than trying to do anything in terms of buying, I'm going to sit here and keep going. And again, you're always watching how much you got invested. We only have about 38,000 invested at this point, and we've booked a good amount. We're still up 10%. We'll hold it and see what kind of action we get next. And that's a decent action. Now, my guess is that this area right here is going to be tough to get over on the way back. And that's because the volume was on that bar. Now, the next spot that's going to be really hard to get over is up here. And so I could choose to sell some in this area, or I could choose to play it, you know, higher because we've been bullish. This is where it just, you know, it gets into, you know, what are the odds? And the odds are not that great that you're going to get back up there. They're decent, but they're not great. Okay, so we could choose to sell some here. I think I will. I'll sell 20%. And then if we get higher, I'll sell some more. And so I got that opening price, which wasn't bad. We're almost where we want to go. I'll hold one more, see if we can get up there and if we fell or not. We're getting close. I'm going to take another 20% off. Oops, not hold, but sell. And now we get a little doji over, a little over under again. That says that we should try and pull back. At this point, I've got about 25,000, 26,000. I'm going to sell some more because I think I can get them cheaper. And so here it starts to come back. I'm going to hold. And, ooh, well, this one got some strength to the upside. I'll keep going. Now it's right at that price point that I wanted to sell. You see this? That price point on that gap is 36.70. We're at 36.60. I've got about 18,000 invested. I'm gonna book some more money here, folks, because we're getting to the end of this game. So I'm gonna book as much as I can, and then I'm gonna hold and see if the rest runs or not. There's a test failure now at the highs. I'm gonna take my chances here, and I'm gonna sell 100% of what I got left. So I'm booking my gains. I've got a 12.8% gain. I've booked my gains. I've got 39 bars left. At this point, you did a test failure at the highs. Now, if you go to the weekly now, this is going to be a test failure. Once it prints, this is going to be a test failure of those highs as well. And it looks like it's going to be about the same or maybe a little less volume. So again, I think it's the right choice to sell. Let's see what it does. So we're going to just next bar it, see what happens. And again, another test failure at the highs. A little bit more volume comes in. Go to the next bar. Now, I don't want to try and short this, even though the short was a decent setup. I don't want to try to short it because it's bullish. I don't short bullish charts. I don't care if the setup's there. Go find a bearish chart to sell, right? Let this come in a little bit deeper now and see. I was wanting it to come back into this bar, the big bar. That top is 36.70, and we tested, didn't quite test it, so I'll just wait. And a doji up there. So the good thing is they keep banging away at the highs. That says that this thing could break out, right? But I'd like to buy a deeper retrace if I'm going to buy it. And so I keep going here to see what I'm going to get, what kind of chance I'm going to get. And I may not get it. And if I don't, that's the way it goes. And there's the breakout. So I'd have to buy the retrace off of this. And since it's an immediate one, I'd want to buy the bottom. That's a 37.34 if I buy. So let's see what the next bar looks like. And there's the test. And so let's see what the volume was on this. 451. The volume on this, 266. So they don't have the juice. So the sellers basically, as you test into the bottom of this bar, which is the full retest regenerate, that's it right there. As you test into it, right, the volume on the test compared to the volume on the bar is less. That says that the sellers walk away at that price point. They're unwilling to sell at lower and lower price points. That says you should be able to put some money to work. I'm going to put about 20, let's say about 25% of my money to work here and see what we can do with that again. So I kind of like the way, that. Remember back here we said on the daily time frame sideways? Well, it is sideways. You see how it's been going sideways all this time? It has failed to get higher and higher. Got higher one bar, back down. I like this action that says we're working off the excess, right, so that it can go higher again. So if we keep going, we're probably going to get a breakout. If we don't, if we come deeper, there it is. If we come deeper, I was going to say, then we'd have to evaluate whether we want to buy or not. And boy, did that one come deep. So that's twice now. Now, when I see something like this, and I didn't see the volume here, wide price spread, high volume. This will be a high volume as well. Both of them were sells. That kind of takes the luster off of this for me. That says, you've made as much as you're going to make. Just sell out and be done. And I'm just going to sell it. And so that's the way you play a chart. We can go ahead and let this run out, or we could just end the game. But that's the way you play a chart. If you want to see the stats over here, well, we made 11% on our money in about a little less than 2 months, right? 60, a little over two months, 2.5 months on our money. So 11%, 2.5 months, that's not bad. You can make some decent money year to date. I'm going to go ahead and finish the game. Click on the finish and book those gains, and then that's the way it goes. So that was what we were trading, it turns out, and it was from this time period that you see here. That's the end of this segment of trading the chart game neoclassically. Thanks.